The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. We provide programs and services designed to assist and support the older town residents who wish to remain in their homes as they age. If we don't currently provide a service, we will try and connect you to that service. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Project Independence and You here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm your host today, Rebecca Miller, along with our co-host, Otto Loos. How are you, Otto?
Good morning, Rebecca.
I notice you have a lovely lamp behind you. Will that remain off for the remainder of the
Dan
show?
told me not to do it this way. It looks like a hat.
Yeah, it looks like a hat. Okay, yeah, right. So, well, it's great to see you, Otto. And of course, we have our wonderful radio show producer, Christina Liu, who has such a great show today. And how she finds people sometimes is beyond me. But we really have two wonderful guests. And without further ado, so we've got Esther Kane and Robin Schultz, and you are senior home safety specialists. Right. And your organization is Senior Safety Advice. It can be found on seniorsafetyadvice.com. Mm-hmm. So first of all, welcome. I know Otto has really been hot on the topic of, I'm going to say Alexa, hopefully she doesn't respond, in the home for seniors as, you know, an essential part of day-to-day life for, you know, for people. I mean, I know how helpful it is for me, but for, you know, older adults, there's so many reasons why it would be great to have in the homes. And, you know, you've sent such a good material, so we'll get into that very soon. I just wanted a little background and understanding where you guys are from and, you know, how you got to be where you are. We all have our journeys, so I'm curious to find out how this organization came to be, because it's relatively new. I guess, Esther, we could start with you.
Yes, it is. It's about 3 years old, and we are in Georgia. But Robin and I have known each other since 7th grade down in Fort Lauderdale. So we've been together a very long time. And and the way Senior Safety Advice started was basically I wanted to tap into my training as an occupational therapist working with seniors. And I wanted to use that information, you know, in my retirement. I mean, I'm like 1 year away from retirement, official retirement. So I wanted to be able to continue working and just somehow creating that information or training or education as I, you know, in my retirement years, because I really believe that it's very important to continue working in some fashion or format as you grow older. And, you know, Robin is a writer, and, you know, she and I have both been through the process of caring for our parents, and we're now helping our friends and family through that process. So it just seemed like a logical thing to do, to create a blog and to begin, you know, adding that content and information and putting it out there. We didn't know how it was going to end up. We didn't know what it was going to, you know, turn into, but we just kept writing, and I'm just so happy actually that it's taken off as well as it has.
Mm-hmm. You know, Esther, you had mentioned something that, you know, your parents. So I think so many of us are kind of, you know, not because I'm in the business of, you know, senior services and programs, but so many people we meet is when people are in need, you know, instead of kind of preparing and planning. So, you know, you know, when you mentioned your parents, I could just hear that it was probably something unexpected. You know, all of a sudden they went from taking care of you and being there and with the grandkids and whatever to kind of, you know, having a lot of needs that aren't easily accessible. So,
yeah, Robin definitely went through that.
That was my story. My parents,
so
my parents were the kind that in their 80s and 90s, they're out walking the mall and, you know, walking the neighborhood. And didn't take, my mother was diabetic, but she controlled it with just a pill. And so that was it. That was all they ever had.
Right.
And I went to lunch one day and I thought she was having a stroke. And so we, went through rushing her to the emergency room and all of that. And it turned out it was a brain tumor. And so she was given 4 to 6 weeks to live. So she went from being one of the healthiest people I knew to somebody who was going to leave us in, a short period of time. So as you were saying, I wasn't prepared. My parents were going to live forever and they were healthy and didn't need anything. And all of a sudden we were all thrown right in. So that's partly where senior safety advice came to, because I had been going through that with her. She passed away. Then my father was left by himself, and maybe Otto, I'm putting you in a basket. That's not right. But, my mother took care of my father. She did everything, the cooking, the cleaning, and everything. He didn't know how to take care of a lot of the things he needed to. So I was there with him for quite a while after she passed away, helping him out. So anyway.
Well, my background actually connects somewhat with this as well. And the reason I got involved when Project Independence first started was my mother lived with us after my father died for about 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, I learned, and my wife and I were both working. So there was no Project Independence around. And as you can relate to, the difficulties of going to work and having a mother home who's 90 and had some problems, how do you handle that? And there's no easy answers, and you need help, and you have to reach out to get help, frankly. But that's why I'm a big supporter of Project Independence, and frankly, also a big supporter of using devices like you know who, because I have one right here.
We spell a lot, Esther and I.
Right.
Alexa.
The way I see it is that it offers advantages to the person who's in the home, who is the senior, but it's probably more beneficial to the caregiver or a child who is not directly connected, who living home, who can use that technology to monitor what's going on if they can. You have a lot of experience. Where do you believe the best benefits are as far as that type of device is concerned?
I think it's twofold. I think that first I want to say, anyone who's listening to this, if you, just to keep your device from going off, if you have one, to go ahead and unplug it, because we're going to be saying that word quite a bit in this interview. So, but I think Alexa gives you a lot of advantages, not only for the senior person, but also for the caregiver. I think that the skills that I always recommend are the Ask My Buddy skill, because if anything were to happen, you don't have your phone or you can't get to a phone, you can just with your voice say, ask Alexa, call my buddies, and it calls all 5 contacts. It calls them, it emails them, it texts them. So one of those 5 is bound to respond and come to your aid. And then if you purchase the Ask My Buddy skill, if you go to the premium, you can even call 911 with Alexa, which is another important feature and kind of a new one, because you used to not be able to do that. But then on the flip side, for family and caregivers, they can use the drop-in skill, which with the Echo Show, which is the video, they can actually physically see, wherever that Echo Show is pointing to. Now, it's not as comprehensive as a security camera, where you can put security cameras everywhere, unless you put Echo Shows everywhere. The advantage of an Echo Show over a security camera is that the Echo Show has all the other skills that Alexa provides, entertainment, music, news, calling people, video chats, all of that. But still, it's amazing that as a family member, I can pick up my phone and I can check in on my mom, make sure that she's there, that she's okay, she hasn't fallen or anything.
Maybe it would be good
think
to
it's great.
explain what you mean by skills. Like a lot of people might take that,
You're,
maybe
know
they
what,
don't
even-
know, frankly.
you're right.
Even to back up a little bit, Otto, excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a range of people that are listening that have, know what ALEXA, I'm going to plug mine during the next break, is. Like, seniors don't even know, like, they hear about it, but they don't know really at all what it is. I mean, is it, so actually maybe just start off by explaining what exactly it is and how it's kind of hooked up, because is it, do you have to have Wi-Fi? Is it an individual, device? Like, where do we start at?
Right. It is an actual physical device. There are basically two types of Alexa devices. One is just a little device, it could be round, it could be a tower, it could be, a globe. And that is just audio. You can talk to it, it talks back to you, but it is a physical device that you connect via Wi-Fi, and of course you plug it in. And the other device is a screen, looks almost like a little tablet. Now they have one where the tablet actually follows you. So if you're cooking and you're talking to it, then you move to the sink, whatever, it will follow you as you're still talking to it. And that's like if you're doing a video chat type of thing. But those are the two basic types of Alexa devices.
And they come from their Amazon products.
They're Amazon products. And the way you control them is with an app on a cell phone. Now, the senior or the owner doesn't have to have a cell phone. It could be a family member's cell phone. And they would control, whatever needs to be done, or the setup, or the personalization of it. Everything is done via that app on the phone, which is like a little program on the phone that controls these products via Wi-Fi. The purpose of them initially was really just to provide some entertainment, music, what's the weather outside, tell me the news, those kinds of things. You can even get radio shows, those kinds of things on there. But as time has progressed, it has expanded to, I think, over 100,000 now, little features that Alexa calls skills. Each of these little things that it does is a skill. And there are so many of them because developers are continuously, upgrading them and then also responding to what customers are asking for Alexa to do. And because it's attached to Amazon, you can do your shopping via an Alexa device on Amazon, through Amazon if you want to order something or anything like that, which makes it very easy and dangerous sometimes.
No, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No,
That is dangerous.
To me, in my corporate life, I was always involved with selling business systems related products, computers, different accessory type stuff. And one of the biggest things with this is, to me, that's difficult is you mentioned 100,000 skills. Now, out of the 100,000 skills, I think it's important to kind of find out what the best of those skills would be for a particular situation, which to me is a tricky part. How do you pick out of the 100,000 the 10 that are going to really be the best for you? Your thoughts on that?
Actually, we have a couple of articles on our website, like talking specifically about that. But I went ahead, I went through those articles and I chose 6, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, five skills that I thought were the most important for seniors, for anyone. One is that ask my buddy skill, which you can just say, Alexa, alert my buddies, and it would contact all 5 people on your list. The free version allows you to have 5 people on your list, which is the other one is the drop-in skill, which allows family members and caregivers to literally drop in on your Alexa device. If you have the Echo Show, which is a video, they'll be able to see what the Echo Show is pointed to. But if you just have the audio device, they'll at least be able to hear, if there's anything unusual, any unusual sounds going on. I personally prefer the Echo Show. I think that's the safer one to use. The other one is the show and tell skill, which if you are visually impaired, what it does is it allows you to pick up a can of soup or a box, anything, and put it in front of the Echo Show, the video, and basically ask it, what am I holding? And it will tell you. So if you're visually impaired and you can't tell the difference between a can of minestrone soup or a can of chicken noodle soup, that device will tell you which one you're holding. I'm waiting for it to get to the point where it will say, and do you want to order it? Because I think that's the next step. Then the next feature, of course, is the calling 911 feature, which is the paid version of the Ask My Buddy skill, which I think is very important, because if you can't get to your phone, if you're not wearing a medical alert device of some type, I think it's very important to have that. And then the last skill that I think is very important for seniors is the Alexa Guard, which is basically it allows the Alexa device, once you turn it on, it allows the device to hear for any unusual sounds. So my thought was that if someone had trouble hearing, and if their fire alarm or smoke alarm went off, they may not hear it in their bedroom. But if Alexa was right next to them on their nightstand, the Alexa Guard skill can hear that sound and then alert that person, because it's right there next to them. It can also hear if glass is broken. So if someone tried to break in, it would then alert that sound also. So I thought that was a good skill as well. I think those are important skills to add.
Yeah.
Another thing too is the reminders.
Right. That's good. We'll get to that. We do have to take a very quick break. We are having a lot of fun and a lot of interesting information about regarding Alexa. And we'll be right back with our guests, Esther Kane and Robin Schultz. You've been listening to Project Independence and You, and we'll be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
So welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with our co-host Otto Los and radio show producer Christina Liu. We've been speaking with Esther Kane and Robin Schultz, who are senior home safety specialists, and we're talking a lot about ALEXA. If I say it, she'll start talking. I didn't unplug her during break. It's so fun to have you guys on, because right now you're in Georgia. Yet, you're on our radio show, we're on Zoom, we're, really in need and, of the same information everywhere. And before we get back to the serious stuff with Alexa, which is so important to have in the home, I just want to put out there too that there's so much entertainment value too. Songs, you can request to hear a song if you can't remember the name of someone or a movie star. It's like it's all there, like in the olden days, we used to have to look it up on our phone, at dinner, like who was that guy who played that, or my favorite song from the 40s. I mean, it's just so wonderful that, and Christina and I talk about that a lot, because we did a program, there's a program called Music in Memory, which even, help people with dementia. And, it's just so important too. So there's fun things too. Like, I don't want to always, there's serious stuff is important. No doubt, and we'll get back into that. But, there's also a lot of entertaining value to having these things, and which is important. especially if during the pandemic you're kind of isolated at home, you have a little kind of friend there with Alexa. Are you familiar with those types of programs or things that seniors could do at home?
Yeah, I mean, there's this wonderful skill that does old radio shows. Remember, like, not Will and Grace. What am I thinking of?
Older than that.
Yeah, older than that.
Molly, like old time radio.
Yeah,
Evan
old time
McGee and
radio.
Molly.
We used to do that on this show. Yeah.
Right. So the old time radio shows, which I think is wonderful. I mean, my mom-in-law is 100 years old and she loves listening to those old time radio shows. And you're right. You can ask it to play any kind of music and it will play. You can ask it to play a genre of music and it will do that. If you have the Echo Show with the video, you can actually watch videos, Amazon movies, shows, that kind of thing. You can use it as a speaker, from room to room, like an intercom type of thing.
Speaking of the speaker, if you can't hear the television, you can put it near you and it'll act as a speaker.
Right.
Great.
You can hook
That's
it up that way.
So you don't drive everybody else out of the house with the television volume.
That's right. And then it can read books to you, from Audible or Kindle. You can listen to podcasts, which are basically, the new way of doing radio shows. I mean, they're just anybody in their living room can create a podcast and talk about whatever. So those are the entertaining fact. You can ask it for the joke of the day, your horoscope. There's so many things that you can do.
It'll play games.
Yeah, you can play games on it. You can even just say, Alexa, what can I ask you to do? And it'll give you a plethora of things.
It'll tell you jokes.
And I'm sure there are comedy channels or, genres that they can listen to of comedians or, things like that too.
I happen to have a Sirius XM subscription in my car and it will go through my Echo device as well. So the same thing, comedy shows or news or whatever that I listen to in the car can run through that. So I have it in my office.
You mentioned reminders before.
Yes.
One of the biggest problems as you get older for some people is medication management.
Right.
And that's a good tool in terms of at least reminding you should take the medication.
Absolutely.
Making somebody take the medication, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
But at least you're getting reminded to do it.
Exactly. And you can attach your calendar, like a Google Calendar kind of thing, to it so that it will remind you, oh, tomorrow is so-and-so's birthday, or, you have a wedding this weekend or whatever. In addition to medication reminder, doctor's appointments, all of that, all those kinds of details. I had a thought and it just, routines. There's a way that you can set up routines on Alexa where you can just say, good morning, good morning, Alexa, good morning. And then you can preset it so that when you do that, it will go through a series of events that you want it to do. Like it can start off by telling you the news. And then let's say the next thing after the news is you want it to play John Denver. It will play John Denver songs. And then after that, maybe it will give you the weather. However you want to set it up, it creates these routines, and all you have to say is good morning or good night or whatever verbal command you want to assign it. So you just have to say one thing and it will go through the steps.
A big thing to me is how do you get started? How do you do something like this? Like, I believe there's a market for a business here for people who are willing to go to somebody's home and talk to caregivers, talk to the actual senior, and work on what the needs are, how do we fix the needs, and then technically, what do I have to do to get it going? Because the facts of life are many seniors are not going to be able to do this themselves. That's a reality, in my opinion.
It's true. I mean, when we set it up for my mom-in-law, we had to go in and set it up for her. And I think you're right, Otto, that the best way to do it is a show and tell type of thing. I mean, one thing seniors can do is they can go on YouTube and they can see all the things that Alexa can do. just go to YouTube and just type in Alexa, and there's thousands of YouTube videos demonstrating. So at least they have an idea of what it can give them before they go out and purchase it. I mean, it's fairly inexpensive product anyway, but you're right. Once you get it home and unbox it, what do? There's so many steps. In our articles, when I talk about the specific skills, I outlined each step of what to do and how to set it up. But still, that, can be difficult and confusing for someone who's never done that. So I do recommend that someone come in and help anyone to set it up. So yeah, it would be a good business. I personally think it should be integrated with, when an occupational therapist comes in, or when a senior home safety specialist comes in to do a home assessment. I think that should be part of the training. That should be part of the job. If the senior person wants an Alexa device, they should be able to set that up for them.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because before the show, I was saying that it would be great if Project Independence had a person who were technically the one, like I call them a occupational support or whatever. But they would be like, we have nurses and social workers who are out there, but they should not be expected to be the ones who know how to do this. But they can identify that the need is there, and it'd be a benefit with Alexa, and then that would be passed on to somebody else who would have the capability of implementing something like that, a support system, basically.
Exactly.
Now, do you do that down in Georgia, or is it all?
We haven't yet. That's an idea.
It is a good idea.
Robin and I can venture out into that next.
Well, I believe there's a market, and I do believe people, not everybody is going to be able to pay for it, but there are some people who can pay for it. And, they need, if you need this kind of support between caregivers and senior, almost senior adult like you with your parents, you're on the edge. There's different levels of being a senior. I'm not at the top grade yet, but I'm working my way up there. Luckily,
one of the things that I'm thinking of, Otto, is that there are organizations and agencies that set up smart homes. So I'm sure, they'll make the house like, they'll have monitors and, conference phone speakers in the house, all kinds things, way that you can connect with your doctor without calling, and they monitor your blood pressure. So I'm sure those kinds of organizations are probably implementing and, inclusive of Alexa.
But then
so let's look into that.
Yeah, I don't think they're easy to find. I think this is in its infancy. Smart homes is another term. How smart do you want your home to be?
Right.
You can go haywire.
With Amazon Echo or Alexa, it can integrate with so many things. In our house, we have it tied to our thermostat, so we can raise or lower the temperature while we're sitting on the couch. We just tell it to do it. It is attached to some of the lamps that we have, so we can say, turn on the couch lamp, or turn on, whatever, turn it off. So there's a lot of things. I think once it is set up by somebody, then it's not so difficult for a senior to operate, because they could just write down the commands that they are interested in following. It's that little step that you're talking about, getting it from the package to operational.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also there's an opportunity to collaborate with young people, middle school or high school even, and have them come in to set it up. I think a lot of high school students, especially the ones in the specialty tech high schools, they can certainly do that. And that would be a nice collaboration of young and old. I always love that idea.
Intergenerational programming. Yeah.
Yes.
You just gave me a good idea. They know my granddaughter just started as a social worker in the high school right across the street from me. And I would be willing to wager that there are students who
That-
are technically quite competent, who it could be a part of their community service to get involved with homes and doing exactly what we're talking about. For
Mhm,
them, it's a good experience, and they're
mhm.
contributing a valuable uh,
Might
contribution,
be
really.
might be a good volunteer opportunity
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
kids, and then that way that's not costing a senior who's on a fixed income,
Right,
you
that's
know,
what
the
I'm
money, and
thinking.
yet they might get volunteer hours. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, some of these kids have been fiddling with, who, because she's like 3 feet from me here.
She's
It
hearing,
could be a he, I
listening.
don't know. But, they've been fiddling with this stuff since they were born, basically.
I
Right.
feel like these kids are born with it in their DNA now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
They
different
know how.
game.
I have my niece's little girl is 3, and I'm telling you, she can work the phone better than I can.
I know. So why not tap into that? And like you said, it would be great volunteer and community service for them. So yeah, and it would be very good for low-income seniors or anyone.
Good.
So one of the
thinking.
things you have on here, which I mean, we'll definitely be talking about that more, Otto, I'm sure. But one of the things you have on here, which is a problem with me, and because I have my Apple Watch, I'm able to always find my phone. But find your cell phone. I mean, how does that work with your Alexa and your cell phone?
Yeah, I use that all the time
Yeah.
because I am constantly putting down my
Daily.
phone, and I'm like, "Now, where did I put it?" So I ask Alexa to find my phone, and it will literally call my phone. So then,
Oh, okay.
then I just have to listen for it, and that can follow the sound, and that's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting actually for these for them to start tapping into these or creating these little devices that you can add to things like your keys or your purse or whatever. And then you can say, Alexa, find my keys, and it will sound
They have
off.
a tracker. They have air trackers now from Amazon.
I know they have air trackers.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's connected to Alexa as of yet.
Yeah, I
they
don't
have
know.
the trackers. So now it's just like, connecting the
Put it
two
together.
and make them work together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
Well,
looking at this list. It's wonderful that you provided just your table of contents of all the things that Alexa can do. I know you can also, if you like, you can change the accent if you want a British accent, right? You
Yeah.
can do all these kinds of fun things.
Yeah, I always thought it would be fun to have Robin Williams on there. I always thought that would be hilarious, or Jim Carrey, or I don't know, some comedian. I don't know, but
They
anyway.
probably get paid, though.
Yeah.
Right.
What about like one of the ones I saw is blah blah. Ask Uber for a ride. Transportation and shopping become big issues,
Right.
and you can do both on using our friend.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you can ask for Uber or Lyft for rides. It will set that up for you, or you can call a restaurant and get dinner, meals delivered. Yeah, you can definitely do those things. It's such a nice and easy way. My mom-in-law is still driving. I don't think she should be, but she still is.
At 100?
Yes, but I don't even want to get into that. And we're trying so hard to take that away from her. But she is beginning to recognize that she shouldn't. So
That's the first step.
yeah. So we're working with her on that, calling Uber. And it's basically today's taxi, basically.
Right.
So if you're calling a taxi to come pick you up and to go wherever, but it does make it extremely easy. When you can use your voice, it's extremely easy versus, playing with an app or whatever on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well, I
we have
know
a great mobility manager that works for Project Independence, so she could probably give you some hints to kind of, be helpful with your mother-in-law.
I would love to talk with her about that. I mean, I'm the in-law, so I have limited, influence.
Right, right.
The children have the majority of influence. I can only give my educated advice, but
It's once they start recognizing that, and then you just kind of encourage them to, limit the hours,
Right.
definitely not at night, and, not during peak rush hour times, and just kind of when it's the safest time to travel. And then,
Eventually, it will happen,
maybe
hopefully.
when she's like 105, she'll be like, I'm going.
Now, Rebecca, I know your mother. You think it would be easy with your mother?
No, absolutely. No, I didn't say it was going to be easy,
It's not easy.
but
I don't think it'd be easy with me, to be honest
yeah,
about
no,
it.
it's
No.
not. It's definitely, it
No.
takes, you definitely feel like your independence is,
Right.
being taken. It's, you know, but, it's also about acceptance, and that, as we get older, there's many, many things that we no longer do or do to the extreme. And once you just accept it, and it's not easy to, Otto. We talk about this a lot. It's never easy to accept that we can't do the things we once did. But, as long as there's another way, that's a good thing. And isn't it better to take an Uber today than to have an accident and hurt yourself or someone else, or whatever the, outcome could potentially be, and, such a negative impact on the rest of your life, or if you just took an Uber. So, it's just getting to that point where you have to accept these things. And as long as there's an alternative, you can get there, you can do it. Yeah.
But I think it's a gradual process.
Yes, that's
It
what I
is.
was saying.
It's
You
like I use
slow-
hearing as an example.
Right.
People, when you lose hearing, you don't lose it like boom, your hearing's gone. No, it goes very slowly. And one day somebody's telling you can't hear, and you don't agree with them. So it takes another couple of years before you agree that you can't hear. And you put the television is up so the whole neighborhood can hear it. It's gradual. That's all I'm saying. The whole process of aging, hopefully, is gradual.
Right.
Right.
It just
And-
takes
and-
its time and it gets there.
Right. And all of these are, it's logical. You can be as pragmatic and logical as you want about the reasoning as to why. But the truth is, it's emotional. It's very difficult to give up these things and to, admit you're growing older. And transportation or giving up your car keys, I think is the last thing that's so difficult.
Yeah.
For so many.
That's up there.
But
On
it's-
that note, we do have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our guests, and we're talking about all the advancements with Alexa, and also the things we can do to enhance our daily lives in our own homes. So we'll be right back with Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We've been talking with Esther Kane and Robin Schiltz, and we're talking about Amazon's Alexa, the benefits for seniors and caregivers. I just want to say the one other thing on the list, which is just amazing, because it's something that to this day confuses me, and I still don't understand why there are so many remotes. So, for televisions. And so can Alexa actually control the television? So I don't have to switch to my Fire Stick to go to my Netflix, to go to the movie I want, to go to the series, the time, how all does that work? Because that's something I wasn't aware of. And I'm I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I love that feature. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, I can just ask Alexa to turn on Columbo or, whatever, and it does it. But in order to do that, you have to have a Fire Stick, which looks like a little flash drive that you attach to the back of your television. Now, the television has to be has to have that innate, it has to have that product,
A
the
smart
ability to
TV.
put that flash drive, that port, to put the flash drive in there. So it can't be a very old television. I don't know what year the television, or you can have a Fire TV. It's a television set with Fire TV built into it. So what it does is it just turns on that TV, that Fire TV section.
Mhm.
I almost look at it as like, I have cable. I still have cable, and I also have Fire TV, the Fire Stick. So to me, the Fire Stick is sort of like another cable program, another cable company. So the Alexa can turn on the television set, and then it will go automatically to that cable company, the Fire TV cable, and everything will be there. But if you wanted to show a specific show, you just ask it, Alexa, turn on I Love Lucy, or turn on Columbo, turn on, Seinfeld, whatever, and it will.
So I have cable, and I have, like you, the Amazon Fire Stick and a Samsung Smart TV, and the thing is plugged into the back. So how do I now, like, I have a remote for the TV, a remote for the cable, like Rebecca described, the little Fire Stick thing that you use, and how do I get all three of those to not be needed anymore?
Well, if you just want to stick with Fire TV, then you can just use your voice to ask Alexa to turn on the TV, to turn it off, to go to a specific show. But it will only do that on Fire, on the Fire TV. It won't go to your cable.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So if I want to watch CBS,
Unless you dump cable and you use, instead of cable, you use YouTube TV. If you have YouTube TV, which will be on your Fire Stick, then you'll be able to see everything and anything with Alexa.
this is a whole subject for another.
I know, it's a whole nother thing.
You can wind up with 12 streaming companies and
I
pay
know.
more than you did with cable.
I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I don't want to mess with it because.
No, I mean, it's got a long list of complications
Yeah.
connected to it as well, really.
Yeah, but you actually can control your TV, which is great, because when you're, when I'm in the kitchen and I'm in the middle of cooking or whatever, and I want the television on, I don't have to clean my hands and go, and I can just ask her to do it for me. She's my little Rosie the robot for the moment. Now, if I can just get her to do laundry, I'll be so happy.
Another area that we've talked about in the past is the calendar. I was one who used Daytimer years ago, and I fought using the calendar for a long time. I wanted to write it in the calendar and period. But for seniors, if they actually had the calendar app on our friend, it would tell them you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow at whatever. It will tell you that it's Robin's birthday or Esther's birthday tomorrow. All those things could be kept track of in there, and they could then call Esther or Robin and wish them a happy birthday. This particularly, I think, I know a few people that have macular degeneration, and their lives have changed, unfortunately, very dramatically. You mentioned a number of things that the show and tell thing I never thought about. I'm going to be anxious to tell them about it. They could show them the can and it says, yeah, that's peas.
Right.
And that's pretty unbelievable. So there's a lot of things that I didn't think about as far as the visual impaired situation.
It
So
will
where am I
read a
going
book
with
to you.
this?
Yeah, that's great.
It'll read a book to you if you have Amazon Prime or Kindle. I mean, if you have a Kindle. So that's another thing for somebody with macular degeneration.
Right. There's just a lot of things, really.
So,
Right. And
there's one thing, I don't know if you touched on LifePod yet, the voice activated caregiving service.
We touched on that.
Yeah, so it's a third party service. And what it does is, I mean, you pay extra for it.
Right.
And it just adds another layer of services to what Alexa already does. It provides, it's almost like having a caregiver right there. It's not as popular as of yet. It's a brand new service. I think it's only 2 years old. I'm not too sure, but I think it's definitely going to grow and or integrate with Alexa. There's over 10,000 people every single day turning 65, and that's going to continue until 2030. So I can't imagine that a company like Amazon, with their Alexa device, that they wouldn't tap into that audience and provide more and more capabilities and services via their Alexa device. So I imagine companies like LifePod and other companies like that are eventually going to get integrated into Alexa, because Alexa is so popular. You don't need to buy another product. You just integrate it into that one Alexa. So we'll see how all of that goes. But Otto had mentioned something on the break about fall detection. And Alexa's coming out with new things all the time. I feel like I have to go back to those Alexa articles every month and update them. Now, if we can just find the time to do that, right, Robin? But but the new Alexa devices that follow you, they do have a motion detection feature on there, which is great, because if you were to fall, Apple has this great watch that detects your falls. And there are cameras that you can put around the house that also detect falls, but they're extra to pay for them. But with Alexa, with that motion detection, if you fall, I'm not familiar with it as of yet, but I would imagine that it would use like the buddy skill to then alert your contacts to let them know that you've fallen. Or maybe, I don't know, does it ask, are you okay? And then if you don't respond, then it would contact them. I'm not sure how it works as of yet, but I do know that it is something brand new. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to do a video on that. I'll have to put pillows on the floor and fall and see what happens.
Just like your website, by the way, seniorsafetyadvice.com, I thought was very, very good.
Thank you.
It had a lot of information. It was easy to navigate. And I think people ought to take a peek at it, just so you get a little publicity here. seniorsafetyadvice.com. And I'm suspecting that you are doing great work as far as educating people goes, but you also are trying to make a living, I think, at this as well. And I think the way you do it is through links if people purchase something on your site, which is fine. That's a very respectable way of doing things. My big point is that there's a lot of great information on your website, and it's worth going to, period.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. We try, and a lot of the articles that we write are based really on what we see, what we saw with our families, what we're currently seeing with our friends and family as they're going through the process. And then also, I remember a lot of my patients. I did occupational therapy for so many years, and I still to this day, think of my patients that I had and all their stories and everything that they went through and how we processed, their therapy for them. And I think, I wish that they were here now. They could benefit from this or from that. But anyway,
my wife just went through knee replacement surgery, and we had an occupational therapist come to the house for 3 weeks. And I think about that process. If I weren't around,
right.
Somebody else would have to be around, or do you have a device like our friend that helps during that process? It's when you can't hardly walk, which is normal for some people, unfortunately. That's a thing we haven't even mentioned.
Right.
If your mobility is limited and going to places and shutting off lights and turning up the thermostat. And yeah,
Right.
for us, those are toys right now, in honest opinion.
Right.
You know, I can shut the light off. Years ago, you had a
Clapper.
light that you'd clap and the
Mhm.
light would go off. And that was a toy, really, is what it comes down to. But for people who have no mobile or limited mobility and being able to control all these various devices without having to go somewhere, we didn't really get into in much depth, but that's it depends on the circumstances, again, what the needs are. People.
Exactly. And earlier, we were talking about the entertainment value. I think, one thing we didn't mention too much was about the video chats. If you have Amazon, the Echo Show with the video devices amongst family members, you can video chat with them from this device, which is so important if you're isolated or sequestered because of limited mobility or whatever other reason. I mean, it's very important to be able to keep in touch with family and friends. I always tell people that's a great Christmas gift to give everybody is an Echo Show device. You have one and now they all have one. So they have no excuse.
Something I didn't think about until you just brought this up, but with this device, you really don't need a computer. So you need the internet, you need to have access, but per se, you really don't need, like with Zoom, you need a computer, in my opinion. You can do it with a tablet, I guess, but you don't need a computer to use our friend.
Right.
And you can do what you're talking about, which is better with a computer as far as Zoom is concerned. But that's not what you're talking about here. So a home with a senior where they don't have a computer, they're able to do this video phone call stuff because of something like our friend,
Right.
which is something I never really thought about.
And it's easy if they have that Echo Show, like Esther was saying, that could just be sitting right there on the table by the couch. They can just say, Alexa, call Debbie. And if Debbie's contact information is in there, it pops up and Debbie can answer. The senior didn't have to get up and look up the phone number. They didn't have to find the phone. They just said, call Debbie. And there's
I don't
Debbie.
have to know how to use the mouse.
Right.
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 Exactly.
And the one other thing about it is, unlike laptops and Macs and smart televisions and computers and all this expensive stuff, the Echo is not expensive at all. It really
Wow.
isn't. I think I have two. I think I spent $35, and one I got for free because I bought something else. I think a Fire, something with Amazon, but a tablet, I think. But it's not really expensive, and it's very simple to set up. It's almost, as long as you have Wi-Fi, it's so easy. It basically talks you through what you need to do next.
Right. It tells you, okay, now do this, now do that. It's almost plug and play. They call it plug and play, where you just plug it and then you can set up. But yeah. But then setting up all the different skills, all the different features takes a little practice. But that's why I did all the step-by-step in the article that you were referring to. But still, it is better to have someone come in, like Otto was saying, to have someone come in and show you. And or do it for you if you're just simply incapable of doing it.
You mentioned earlier the drop-in thing. And when my wife was initially going through the knee replacement bit, I went and did get Alexa devices in most of the rooms so that she could communicate to me if I was in the office. But you said something, but did I have to use drop-in? Could I have used the remote feature?
No, you can use it. That's a separate thing. It's like an intercom. You can use it as an intercom, basically, to talk from one room to the other. Honey, dinner is ready, when you're in the garage or whatever.
How do you do that? Like
it's another skill. It's another setup. You just go into the app, and I have the instructions there on that article. But it's it's not a drop-in skill. I mean, you could use the drop-in skill, but it's less complicated. As an intercom, it's less complicated.
Because I had to know the name of the room
Right,
Right.
that's what I was
You
gonna
do have
say.
to
You
know-
name each device.
Right.
You name each device, and then the person maybe is in the living room would just say, Alexa, call the garage, because you were out in the garage.
Right.
Yeah,
It has
then I
been
had
a
to remember.
pleasure. We actually have to go to break, and I want to thank you both, Esther and Robin. This has just been a great segment. So much terrific information. Christina, gold star. How she found you, and I think we're going to be friends forever, right? Well,
Thank you, Christina.
Yes,
You've
we're
been
happy
listening-
to come back if you need us again for
You
something.
will be.
You will be.
I was sitting here enjoying everything. So
we'll be
so
right
glad.
back with Talk of the Town on Project Independence on You on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org.